So this is just a slight taste of what is coming in this video. Let's just say this is about 40% of the Disney stamps. They're mostly from the US. There's some from Hong Kong. There's some from Tajikistan. There's some from Maldives. There's some from Guyana, and maybe one or two other countries. And there's so many of these stamps. I bought a box of them. I can't even take them all out. I wouldn't have any space to walk. So I'll put up some individual pictures of them. But I decided to make some lots with the Disney stamps for different reasons. The first one is I spent about 6 hours going through all these stamps, taking the pictures, and it was not fun. This must have been the most miserable thing I ever bought to resell on eBay. Only because there's so many of them and they're all kind of similar to each other. But I did buy this box of stamps pretty cheap, and it's going to be a pretty good profit. So I'm not really going to complain about anything. It was just no fun spending nearly the entire day working out these stamps and what I'm going to put in each auction. So I'll just list them as lots and see if people want to buy many of them at the same time instead of individually. Something I find funny in Alaska is spring's arriving when the ground turns to a sheet of ice. Kind of doesn't make any sense. So now I'm hoping they have chicken wings. It's the only place in town, I think I said it before, that has chicken wings. And I feel like chicken wings. Rib sandwich, barbecue brisket sandwich, no chicken wings. Forget the chicken wings, I'm getting thin cut pork chops. And for those who resell on eBay also, there's really no point in putting that you won't ship to P.O. boxes, because as you see, the post office allows you just to write the P.O. box as an apartment number. So you're sending to P.O. boxes anyhow. And I don't know if many of you have noticed, but in the past, whenever I was making videos as I was driving, I was usually holding the phone with one hand, which is not the safest thing to do, but I was always driving slow. I finally bought one of these. Forget what they're called. I don't even care. It cost me $5. We're going to test it out when we drive to Fairbanks. It's pretty wild considering in about 4 weeks I'm out of here. Can't believe I've been here already for 5 months. And something I am going to miss about this place, other than the room being extremely comfortable, is whenever I'm out here, right now, I'm always seeing the rabbits. And as I'm making this video, we see none. But pretty much every time I come out here, I see one or two snowshoe hares running either across the forest, or it looks like they're living underneath that tree that's fallen down. And of course, we're getting to that time where I need to start looking for and finding a place to live in the summer. I'm kind of taking it slow for a couple of reasons. The first reason is I know that if I don't find anything, I can stay in the cabin that I stayed in last summer. So that's good to know, so that I don't rush into taking just anything. And the reason that place is going to be available to me is because now that I know the lady, I've said it before, when you know a few people, you get places much easier to rent in little towns like this. She's not really actively looking for anyone to rent the 3 cabins that they have, because they've been doing this for like 20-something years. and they're pretty much tired of it. They used to run them as Airbnbs, well before Airbnbs ever existed. I think they started that in the early 90s, renting out their cabins to tourists. They've just gotten tired of it. Now they pay someone to rent out the cabins for them. But nobody's really in a rush to rent out these 3 cabins. So they're going to be there whether I want it this month or next month or in 3 months. For the summertime, I'll always pretty much have a place. So that's one of the reasons I'm not rushing into finding something right away. The second reason is, you know, I've said it before, maybe I just decide to rent something outside of Fairbanks this summer just to get a different experience in a different part of Alaska. But I probably won't be doing that. Another reason I'm not really rushing into finding anything is there's been a slight turn of events that may or may not happen. I don't know if that made any sense. I'm not really sure what's going to happen in a month. So I am also taking it slow for that reason. I'm not going to get into all of that. It's a bit complicated. It really doesn't have to do with my life in Alaska. I have a feeling, though, in the next 6 weeks, maybe 7 weeks, you might be a little surprised at something that you wind up watching in my video. I'm not going to say it's going to be enjoyable videos, but I'm not going to say they're going to be bad videos. I think they're going to be okay. I'm not going to get into that either because that just becomes too complicated, talking about the other thing and then this thing and then everything. I can only talk about one thing. And then there's even another thing I'd like to talk about, but I need to wait until May to talk about that, because although it's not one of the complicated things, it's something that I am waiting to see how it goes before I share with you all what it is. Hey, I said that pretty good off the top of my head. So in a way, in this video, I told you a lot of nothing. And it was very difficult for me to do